this computer. There we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Life in Session, doing another interview. I'm so excited to have Jennifer Barnett here. She is a dear friend of mine. Gosh, I can't even remember. We met back in like 2012, I think, through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. We were both doing the health coaching program there. And she has been my go-to for essential oils. She literally, I don't think I've ever met anyone who knows as much about essential oils as you do. And there are a lot of people who know a lot about essential oils. You are like the woman. So I really am excited to have her here to talk about her experience with essential oils and as a caregiver to some very important people in her life who have been through cancer, and to just have a conversation kind of about all of that. So Jennifer, thank you so much for doing this video with me, a little interview, and I'm really excited to have you. And I'd love to hear a little bit about your story, how you got into essential oils, how they've helped you, how you've helped other people, clients, family, friends, like just kind of an overview, and then we'll dive into some more specific kind of questions.
Sure, of course. And thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this. I always love connecting with you, and you always have a lightness of being, and you just brighten up my whole day. So I'm glad we're doing this. And as Sarah mentioned, we did meet through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I decided to go for my health coaching certification, and it really was for personal use. I was dealing with some minor and undiagnosed health issues, just chronic pain and inflammation. I didn't know it at the time. And also I needed some mood support. So I started researching how nutrition can help support the body, and with detoxification and, meeting nutritional deficiencies and things like that. So I ended up taking what I learned from health coaching and studying nutrition and applying it to my life. I wasn't finding the support I needed or the answers that I was looking for, and I wanted to take a more natural approach to my health. And I knew that there were things that were missing that I wasn't getting. So from there, I changed my diet. I went to a more anti-inflammatory diet. And I did that naturally, just realizing like what foods were kind of triggering me, what didn't seem to make me feel so well. I just naturally kind of progressed. And then through the information I learned at IIN, just started reducing inflammatory foods. And I started feeling so much better. Mm-hmm. And from there, another health coach, one of my great friends, Jocelyn, she introduced me to doTERRA essential oils, and she was sending me some samples and asked me what I'd like. And I had no real knowledge of essential oils other than like I knew they were used in candles, or they might be in bath salts. Mm-hmm. I knew lavender, is a real calming kind of a zen smell to it, but I really didn't know about the applications for wellness. Mm-hmm. Like I knew they smelled lovely, but what did I know beyond that? Not a whole lot. So when she was asking me which oils to send, I really had no basis of knowing, send me this oil, that oil. So I kind of had some questions for her, and I got excited because I think I just had some intuition knowing that it just was going to be very useful in my life and in others' lives. And she sent me 5 samples, and she sent me a sample that people don't usually send other people just because it can be more of an investment oil. And she sent me frankincense, and I think I do have one right here. So she sent me a frankincense oil. The first time I used it, I put it on my wrists, and I ended up getting a little wellness buzz from it. Just a little, like a feeling of well-being. And that is one of the things that frankincense can support, is supporting a healthy mood and a feeling of wellness and relaxation. So, and I noticed that right away. And when I felt that, I was like, I need to know more about these oils. Like that just blew me away. And I just started studying more, getting my hands on anything I could, the company's materials, also other sources of aromatherapy education. I just started really eating it up and getting more involved in it. And then I started using it mostly for my health in the beginning, most of what I use oils for is mood support. That's kind of one of my favorite applications because there's so many uses for mood support, but also energy, restful sleep, and occasional like stomach, just to calm my stomach or to debloat, when you feel a little bloated. So those are the primary things that I use oils for.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. And I love you listening to your body with the diet, with the oils, like really being tuned into that. I think it's such a huge piece of not only health and wellness, but healing too. And when going through cancer, when trying to figure out like getting diagnosed, and then there's the whole process of it. I really encourage people. It's like, I don't know how we've gotten so far away from it, but it's like, sit down, listen, what feels right for you? What sounds good for you? How do you feel after you eat something or you try something new? Or even just thinking about, all right, do I want to do acupuncture? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? It's like, what kind of body sensations come up for you?
Yeah.
And I feel like we're having to relearn that. I don't know why it's got lost along the way, but I love that you brought that point up. I guess just kind of, I'm going to skip around a little bit. I want to jump to your experience with cancer and then kind of loop it back around like through that, talking more about oils and healing, but really diving into that. And Jennifer hasn't specifically, she hasn't had cancer, thank God. But she's definitely been a caregiver and had it as a part of her life. And I would love to hear more about that. And, interweaving like what you've learned as a healing approach and being a caregiver.
Sure. And this is a great segue because at the time that I was learning more about nutrition and involved in IIN and was introduced to the oils and started using them and seeing results in my life and just feeling a greater sense of well-being, that is when my mother was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and she was a breast cancer survivor. So I took an active approach. Being a health coach, I went with her to a lot of her appointments. So did my stepdad. But she had a notebook and she'd take notes because there's a lot going on. I understand there's a lot going on with people who are dealing with cancer. There's so many different doctor's appointments and just new things to learn. And that's where you come in. How I know that you're really helping people to kind of manage that and reduce some of the stress and anxiety when you're attending these appointments and going through this experience. And I would go with my mom to doctor's appointments and she would ask me like, what can I do for this? Or what can I do for that? Mm-hmm. And I made sure that when I went to her doctor's appointment and was first introduced to her oncologist, that I had a conversation and letting her know that we plan to use essential oils with my mom, but knowing that she is the doctor and she is directing the care, asking her, are there the main concern when if you're choosing a doctor first, if for those of you who don't have a doctor yet, I would say if you do want to use essential oils and other holistic modalities within your treatment, to find a doctor who has that experience on the medical side, but who also is open to you using natural treatments. That would be step one if you haven't chosen a doctor yet. If you already have a doctor and you want to see if they're supportive of this, let them know that you plan on using essential oils and juicing and other natural modalities, and just ask them what to be aware of or what should you be concerned with, because the doctors know that, there's so many different medicines and they're educated on that. And they're going to know if there's interactions, if there's going to be drug interactions with oils, or if the body's going to have some sort of a reaction during this treatment. So it's very important to always let your doctor know what other natural modalities that you're involved in. But I would take an active approach to that and let them know that you are interested in that. Not necessarily asking permission, but that's kind of my personality too. When I want something, I'll say that this is my plan. This is what I'd like to do. This is what I've researched. How can I do this? And how can you best support me in this with your plan for me.
Yeah,
that
so you're really
was my approach and how I would take it if I had a friend or family member who involved me in, their appointments.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like having that open communication, being a team, letting them know, I always tell people, like, I am not a doctor. That is not my role. I, defer everything medical to the doctors. But then having that conversation with your doctor, I was lucky enough, my oncologist was like, I want you to try anything and everything. We would talk about it, like, what about acupuncture? What about essential oils? What about this? What about that? He's like, awesome, great, do it. If it helps you and helps you to feel better, supports you, I am all down for it. So,
but find that more and more doctors today have that approach of your oncologist. My mother's oncologist was very supportive. Mm-hmm. She'd joke about how I smelled like a different oil every time I walked in, and she'd ask about the oils, and I'd share frankincense, and so we'd have a good laugh about it. But she also knew that this was a serious part of, my mom's at-home care, that it's something that my mom dearly wanted to incorporate, and that she relied on me helping her to help that happen.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about oils to support cancer, it's more about, it's about treating the symptoms. Mm-hmm. It's treating the symptoms of any cancer therapies that you're currently going through. It's helping with, detoxification, more restful sleep, helping with mood support, helping with mouth ulcers, helping with hair regrowth.
Nausea.
Digestive distress and nausea. So those are the things that we're using essential oils for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And that was a part of my protocol too, which I think we've talked about. Digestozen and peppermint, straight peppermint oil. Those were big ones that really helped me. And I would still use the anti-nausea medication from my doctor, and I would use the oils. Like, why not? Anything that would help me feel better, I was all about personally. And then some days the scent would be too much for me. Other days they were great, and I could use the lavender on my pillow and just kind of help me to calm down, because a lot of times I would have anxiety when I would lay down, and then it was like my brain would start going about everything, and things like that. And speaking of mouth ulcers, and one of the things I wanted to ask you, because I've seen a lot of people, I didn't actually use the doTERRA toothbrush during treatment. I wish I would have now, learning a lot more and reading and hearing from a lot of survivors that say that it really helped with the mouth sores. Mm-hmm. And you also have a rinse recipe, which I think is awesome, to help deal with the mouth sores. And one of the things that I used was a water pick, because a lot of times my gums would be I couldn't floss, so the water pick. And I wanted to ask you, do you think I could use like the mouth rinse in the water pick machine?
I would say as long as you are cleaning it out directly afterwards, because there's plastic components. Usually you don't put essential oils in plastic, like it's glass or metal. So if you wanted to use that, and then just make sure that you clean out your water pick after that.
Like run an extra cycle through kind of thing. Just to
run water through it. You could do vinegar. I'm thinking of other like natural, even, I don't know if baking soda might clog it up. I'd probably just do some like a vinegar water type
Okay.
Yeah. You just want to make sure the oils aren't kind of clogging up the plastic components of the water pick.
Okay.
But if that worked for you, that's wonderful. And the toothpaste has On Guard in it, and that's exactly what you would make the mouth rinse with. Mm-hmm. And this is On Guard here. This is the protective immunity supporting blend. So this has wonderful applications. I have a class that is essential oils for survivors,
which is awesome, by the way. I've been through it. It's
I'd love to gift it to any of your clients, your customers, anyone who's interested who would like to go through this class. I'm happy to share that with you. And then you can get more specifics on some of the recipes and the oils. And the class was created with the doctor's assistance. So it's all oils that are supportive in treating some of the symptoms from treatment that you're receiving through your care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was really interesting to me because like certain ones, like you said, when you're coming from like, okay, I know about lavender, maybe I know about peppermint, but it was like, oh, and then this can help with that, or this can help with that, or this can help with that. Like there was so much more about all of the different types of common side effects that happen, right, and supportive elements through it, which I think is huge. And it's one of those things, like you could get overwhelmed because there's so much information, right, there's so many different things, but it's kind of like, you know what, pick one or two. Exactly. Pick something that you're struggling with, or that maybe you're not finding the kind of relief that you want, and maybe try it. It's always...
And that's why the class is going to be helpful for people who are wanting to bring, they can print it out, take it to their doctor.
Yeah.
If they're wanting to get that support, and ask, or let them know that you're using oils and this is what you're using it for. This is the ingredients. Are there any interactions? So it's very helpful just to print out the PDF, to have the information to share, to have that conversation with the doctor, or, a family member or a caregiver. And then also, if you're new to oils, it's something that, if you've decided to use them in your, as a, a tool in your toolbox for your cancer care, then you're focusing on that. And we focus on the safety of essential oils, the 3 primary ways to use them, and just the oils that are supportive to people who are dealing with chemotherapy, other medicines, and working with their oncologist. So it's very specific to that, and it won't overwhelm someone who's already, getting information from their doctor and seeing different doctors and having different tests done. So
yeah, definitely.
Very supportive for this, for what they're going through.
And something just came to mind too. It's like, if it feels like too much while you're going through treatment, you can also save it and implement it in your survivorship plan.
Yes.
Which I think is a really important thing to point out as well. Sometimes it's just like, I can't take on one more thing, and that's okay. Wherever you're at, whatever feels right for you, again, listening to your body, listening to yourself, and kind of implementing it where it feels right. So I think that's, because there's so much that can be implemented on the post-treatment side of things, the healing side, again, the helpful sleep, and the emotional side, because finishing cancer treatment can be just as stressful, which sounds crazy, but there's so much that comes to ending cancer treatment and moving into the survivorship phase. And
I can imagine.
Yeah, where is my body? It's like a whole new normal, all these different things that come up, and being able to lean on these tools, are kind of, like you said, implement them in your toolbox, I think is huge.
And another thing that just came to mind as you're bringing this up, oils can be really supportive for the caregiver's experience. I didn't realize, and we didn't mention this, but a few years into my mom's treatment, as she was in remission and back and forth for 4 years, my best friend of 25 years also received a diagnosis of lung cancer. And she spoke to her doctor and used certain oils. She was a fan of the Digestin and the On Guard, and I think the toothpaste as well. But she used a handful of oils in her treatment as well, getting her doctor's permission. And that was overwhelming to me. Of course, they're taken care of first, but and I say caregiver, they had multiple caregivers. It wasn't like I was taking care of them in my home 24/7. I just want to be clear about that. Just as a daughter and a best friend, that's what I mean when I say caregiver, taking them to appointments or just spending time with them and having that downtime and helping them reduce stress, answering questions of other friends and family members, things like that, phone calls, arrangements. You really don't realize how stressful. And I just want to note this in case there are caregivers or family members of people who are dealing with cancer or going through after cancer care right now who would like this information. Oils can be extremely supportive to family members and friends. And more specifically, oils to support energy, restful sleep, stress reduction, and mood support. Those would be the primary ones that would come to mind. And then, of course, supporting your immunity too, because if you're spending time helping care for your loved ones, you want to make sure that your immune system is in good order, because their immune system is often compromised, and you want to make sure that they're staying healthy. So you're supporting your immune system not to bring in any bugs or germs or anything.
Yeah. Well, and if the caregiver gets sick and they can't be around the patient, then you're not able to serve them in the same way.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of times too, caregivers people don't necessarily the caregiver doesn't get as much attention. Everything is about the patient. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, the caregiver is having to do their normal life and show up for their loved one. And that's a huge task, not only just like physically, like you said, managing all the moving parts, and then, the emotional aspect of it. So it's like, it's a lot.
It is a lot. It's a lot for everyone involved. So if everyone's taking care of themselves and reducing their stress, getting good sleep, that's really what you want to look at.
Yeah. And not waiting until it gets to a critical point of like having a meltdown or seeking support. And I think that's where, especially like I love the emotional blends. I think I have my Motivate going right now in my diffuser, but they're nice. And it just, like you said, it's one of those like, oh, wow, I just feel good. This is awesome. So, and then let's see, I wanted to say, and you touched about someone being new to oils. There was something else I was just thinking about, but let's go back to that. So if someone's brand new, they've never used essential oils, maybe they've, smelled lavender, and whether or not they're involved in whether they're the caregiver or someone who's newly diagnosed, or what's the next step? How do you kind of move forward and learn more, and what should they do?
I would recommend they get the PDF, the ebook of the essential oils for survivors. And then I also recommend that they schedule some time to talk with me. I'd be happy to set aside 30 minutes. Usually what I do is I set aside this time, we talk for 30 minutes. I go over people's concerns, like what are they dealing with? What do they need to address? And then we address those concerns with oils, and they certainly don't have to buy anything, but if they're looking to support their health with oils and they want something right then, I'm going to help them get what they need. But really knowing some primary safety tips would be important. There's 3 main ways to use oils. We use them aromatically in the air. That's when you would diffuse oils in the air and breathe it in. And that's primarily good for the respiratory system and the mood and more supporting focus. So anything you're breathing in is helping the respiratory focus, supporting the brain, and then energy. And then you can also apply oils topically, and that would be more for the area of concern. So if you have digestive concerns or needs, you would apply the oils directly to your stomach. You could apply it to the skin. There's antibacterial supportive oils. And so in the area of need for applying it topically. And when in doubt, they want to dilute with a fractionated coconut oil. There's more information I can get into that's involved in that's included in the PDF that talks about dilution and other things. And then the last way would be taking them internally. Not all essential oils are safe for internal use. doTERRAs you can take internally, and that's a personal choice. If people choose not to take them internally and would rather just, let's say they just want to diffuse, or they want to diffuse and apply them topically, or occasionally, if they want to use ginger or peppermint, something to support their like anti-nausea, they can certainly do that. So that's a personal choice. Mm-hmm. But and you never want to get oils in your eyes or in your mucous membranes. If you do, you want to dilute with an oil, a fractionated coconut oil, or in a pinch, your vegetable oil in the kitchen or coconut oil in the kitchen will help too. If you put water in your eyes after getting oils in it, it's just going to spread the oil. So always dilute and your eyes will be fine. I've gotten essential oils in my eyes and it's fine now. You just, I like sharing that information ahead of time before people need it. So those are some basic safety tips. But really just setting up time to talk. I'd be happy to spend a half an hour. I have over 30 classes that I can share with people, classes specific not only to survivors, but other, kids, women's health, men's health, athletes, things like that. So I can direct them to that information and make it more specific to their needs.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'm going to have your website, how to get a hold of you, all of that down below in the notes so everyone can make sure, if they want this information, they'll have easy access to you for sure.
I'd be happy to help anyone. And you can find me Essential Oil Zen with Jen on Facebook, and then my website's Essential Oil Zen with Jen. So
perfect. And then, okay, and one other thing before we wrap this up, I wanted to also talk about, and this might be a conversation for a whole nother interview, but you can also use essential oils in creating cleaning products and different, using them not only just for dealing with the side effects from cancer, but also I just constantly think about reducing my chemical load.
Correct.
So whether that's in, creating cleaners for the household, or even just like instead of using a perfume that I might buy at the store that has a ton of chemicals in it, I'll use a little bit of essential oils. Like there's just different. So I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, but yeah.
I'd love to. And you touched on a really important component because, and in this class it mentions it as well, one of the things that you're doing in this, and I'm doing it as well, I mean, I'm trying to reduce my toxic load just to stay healthier and avoid toxins wherever I can. And it's very important to consider all the things that we use. Anything that touches your skin gets absorbed into your bloodstream. So I do have a class on essential oils for cleaning the home and creating home products for in the kitchen, in the bathroom, in the laundry.
Which I need to get a copy of that.
Yeah, I'll send that to you after we're done today. But I'm glad you brought that up, because detoxification, that's one of the main components of improving your health, whether you have cancer or inflammation or another issue. You want to reduce your toxic load, and that's reducing the number of toxins that come into your life, whether you're breathing it. So there's sprays that you can make that would replace like Febreze. Mm-hmm. That's all natural, and it's going to be okay if you're breathing it in. And then things that you can use topically on the countertops are On Guard, for example, and that's the one that I mentioned before in the Protective Immunity Blend. That kills 99.9% of pathogens like on the countertop. So if you're preparing your food, or you're not going to be if you have food on the countertop, you're not going to be eating those cleaning products that touched your food. So, and it's safe for internal use. So, yeah.
I love that. And that's, slowly, I feel like I'm constantly trying to all right, where's the next level I can take it and kind of clean things out. And if I feel like, and with even talking with clients, it can get really overwhelming, because all of a sudden you feel like, oh my gosh, I have to change everything in my life. And it's like, all right, slow down, one thing at a time. We're doing the best we can. So, but I love the idea. It's kind of like, all right, well, maybe this month I work on just the cleaning products, or maybe try to do, this or that. Like it makes it.
Try to keep it simple, and it will produce significant results in your life. And like you said, what's the one pressing concern right now? Is it, feeling nauseated? Is it, wanting cleaner products for your home? Is it more restful sleep? Is it reducing stress? Like, what's that number one thing that if you address that naturally with oils and other holistic modalities, how is that going to improve the quality of your life right now? So just focus on that huge thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. I don't know if there's anything else you want to kind of cover really quickly before we wrap things up. I feel like we talked about a lot.
We did. And, I would encourage each person to, I think the biggest thing that you talked about was using your intuition. Mm-hmm. And if you feel you want to incorporate oils and you've talked to your doctor and your doctor's supportive, I would encourage you to take that next step. Whether it's going through the class, whether it's reaching out to me, whether it's doing research on your own, your body's going to tell you what it needs. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you from my personal experience that it did produce significant results in my feeling of well-being and just how I operate in this world. And I'm really grateful for the oils and how they just support so many people. There's just been hundreds of people that I've personally talked to and helped, customers and clients of mine who found relief and support and care in the oils. And if you feel called to do that and you want to take the next step, I'd be happy to help you. Or if you're looking for another means, just do that. Take that one small step today, and you're going to be glad that you did, and you're going to feel some relief.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that talking about oils, it's not an either or kind of a conversation. It's just a very inclusive. It's like you can do, if you're doing chemo, if you're doing radiation, you can add the oils in. It's not like, oh, you have to be all natural or you're totally doing this. It's like, no, integrated. It can all be useful.
And maybe there's one oil. Maybe there's just incorporating lavender to rest easier at night and have more restful sleep and wake up feeling refreshed and reducing your stress and anxious feelings, because lavender can support all of that.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it.
Simple, listen to your body and follow your intuition.
Go from there. And like Jen mentioned, say your website again, Essential Oils Zen.
With Jen.
.com. I love that.
You can reach me at Jen, Jen, at jenniferbarnett.net, JenniferBarnett.net.
Awesome.
I'd be happy to answer any questions. That's a way you can reach out to me, and I'm happy to give a complimentary consultation and chat with people about their concerns and help point them to some resources that could be very beneficial for them.
Amazing. Thank you. And I'll have everything down in the notes. So in case you didn't jot all that down, it's in the notes. Okay. And then if you have any more questions for me, Sarah, SARA, at lifeinsessionco.com. If you need help with the whole from beginning to end of being a cancer patient, I am here for you. So, all right. Thanks, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Bye.